bags for the Pike Place Market Foundation, and they're coming in to join us, and they have this satisfaction on their face because they have just served and done a great project on our behalf. So thank you all. We are in our 115th year as part of Rotary International, which is the largest service organization in the world. I'm Nancy Cahill, the current president of Seattle 4, which is our nickname. We begin our meeting with music, followed by inspiring words. Our music today will be led by Trish Bostrom with her banjo, and our inspiration will be by Marcia Matusi.
Mail.
Welcome, Trish.
It is spring. The tulips are out, the sun is out, and it's a zippy day. Here we go. Zippity-doo-dah. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. My, oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine headed my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Let's pick it up. Oh, Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder. It's the truth, it's actual. Everything is satisfaction. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay. Wonderful feeling, wonderful day. Wonderful feeling, wonderful day. Hey, you were good.
Rotarians, I come to you today with a personal message for each of you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge your resilience and your courage. The incredible journey you've been on, your victories, seen and unseen, are testament of your remarkable strength. You have won battles people don't know about. They are those silent triumphs, the inner strength that keeps you going. Keep going. May each chapter be better than your last. It's the 1st of May, so I'll give you a list of Mays. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you find comfort. May you have strength, courage, healing, peace, joy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you give yourself a round of applause, please. Thank you.
Please be seated. Well, thank you, Marcia, for those inspiring words, and Trish for the fun song and the awesome banjo playing. I have a picture at home of Trish teaching my daughters when they were very young how to play the banjo. She had them both playing it at once. It didn't matter what the music was, they experienced the joy. So thank you for your talent you bring to our club. Logan Riley is our meeting reporter of the day, and Mary Goldie is hosting our Zoom guests. Thank you, Logan and Mary, for your part. This is when we get to welcome our visitors today. Our first set of visitors are guests of our Business Mentors program. Paul Sy and Barton DeLacy co-chair our Business Mentors Service Committee, and Paul is going to introduce the guests that come from that mentorship program. Paul?
All right. Hello? Okay. I'd like to introduce our guests from UW, Minita Carl Lau, Imogen Enkwaryar, Amy Tram, Maya Bramble. Yes, please stand when sorry, the ones I read. And Maya Bramble, Masato Takato, Marcus Luke, Meda Ganjam, Joseph Dang, Christina Zhang, Gabriela Mishan, the Associate Director. Welcome.
Great, great. Thank you. And in addition to these Business Mentor Program guests, we have Wilma Kamanat. All right, we have a visiting Rotarian, Eric Lashiver. He's from the Rotary Club of the Pacific Northwest to End Sex Trafficking. Thank you. And then we have some guests, Charmaine Vasquez, Angie Wood, Kirsten Anderson, Melita Love, Ashley Moldon, Patricia Gray, Fiona Vumbaga, Marcia Matusi's friend. We have Mike Cadell and visitor guest of Nick Anderson. And we just have a chance to give you a warm Rotary welcome. And now we have Nick Anderson to introduce our newest member of Seattle 4.
This is good, like we've done this. Ladies and gentlemen, Seattle's Rotary Club, it is with immense pride that I introduce you to a visionary and leader, Bindia Patel. Bindia is a paragon of leadership and commitment dedicated to fostering a community that is engaged, effective, and empowered. As the Executive Director of Leadership Tomorrow, Bindia's role transcends the ordinary. She is charged with the responsibility of cultivating inspiration, connecting leaders, and engaging in effective community that upholds the values of equity and inclusion. Her 2 decades of leadership and equity-focused nonprofits testify to her lifelong mission to support women and people of color to lead healthy lives and develop their leadership prowess. Her tenure, he's really excited. Her tenure at PATH, a global health nonprofit rooted right here in Seattle, spanned 19 years where her leadership evolved through several pivotal roles. As managing director of PATH's largest division, Bindia was at the helm of strategy and operations. Her innovative foresight led her to create and implement an approach that placed equity at the center of all programming and initiative that echoes through her work. Her advocacy for HIV prevention for women, management of U.S. government-funded projects fighting tuberculosis in Tanzania, and leadership and organizational change across technical and country programs has left an indelible mark on the global health landscape. Her reach extends beyond the U.S. as she also championed child health and nutrition in South Africa's townships and managed grants in rural UK. Holy smokes. I'm a really proud LT alum right now. I just gotta say, let's go. So a proud alumna of Cornell University, Bindia earned her bachelor's degree in environmental engineering before venturing to Princeton University, where she completed her master's degree in public affairs. Outside the bounds of her professional endeavors, she is the proud mother of 2 phenomenal teenage daughters who are her greatest joy. Embracing the serene lifestyle of the Pacific Northwest, Bindia finds solace by the water. She's on a personal journey exploring the arts through drawing, immersing herself in the world of great fiction, and she's always on the lookout for book recommendations. And let's ensure that she has a plethora of titles to choose from as a part of our warm Rotary welcome. Bindia's presence among us is not just an addition to our numbers, it's an enrichment of our collective wisdom and a reinforcement of our commitment to leadership that serves and uplifts. So please, let's raise a warm round of applause to welcome Bindia to the Seattle Rotary Club. Take this instead.
India, welcome so much. This is your pin, which we all wear, and it connects you to 1.6 million Rotarians throughout the world. So wear it with pride, and we look so forward to working alongside you to make a difference in our world. Congratulations. Thank you, Nick. Wonderful introduction, Nick. And now, past President Jim McCurdy is here to give a special recognition to longtime Rotarian Neil McReynolds.
India, welcome to Seattle 4 Rotary. I'm now going to turn our attention to one of our longtime members. A month ago, I had the pleasure of honoring the tenure and the accomplishments of past President Neil McReynolds. We honored him with a recognition of his professional career, service to the various communities that he's lived in and been involved in, and certainly to Seattle 4. Of significance, he was our club president in 91 and 92, and was instrumental in launching the club's first strategic planning effort. Furthermore, he didn't rest on his laurels after serving as president, initiating the Business Mentor Program that continues today, working with the University of Washington. At this point, it's appropriate to formally initiate him as an honorary member of our club. Per the bylaws, honorary members shall be elected in the following manner. The name of the candidate for honorary membership shall be proposed by at least 5 members. I think we found 5. Goes to a committee for approval and then to the board for a unanimous vote. We also accomplished that. At this point, it's incumbent upon the membership to vote positive to welcome him as an honorary member. I ask at this point for a motion to elect him, Neil McReynolds, to honorary membership. Do I have a second? All in favor? Any against? Motion carries. Neil, congratulations. President, back to you.
Neil, we're so grateful for your 50 years of valuable service to our club and look forward to many more years working alongside you involving our club. We're also glad that you have the support of a wife named Nancy. She couldn't be with us today, but she is an absolute teammate to this great gentleman, and so we're grateful for the two of them being supportive of our club. So now we have a chance for our keynote speaker, and we are going to have past President John Bridge introduce Rob Dunlop. John?
Well, you know, I love getting applause before I say anything. But it's really my honor today to be able to introduce Rob Dunlop. I have just found out that Rob is going to be swimming on June 16th from Alcatraz Island to San Francisco. That's his real key today, and you can ask him more questions about that a little bit later. But Rob, first of all, is a proud member of our club, Seattle 4. That's number one. But number two, he is now the president and chief executive officer of Cascade Public Media. And you might ask, what is Cascade Public Media? Well, Cascade Public Media is Channel 9. And what did we all do with Channel 9? We built their building, their former building. You'll hear about their new building a little bit later. But Cascade Public Media is a lot more than that. Cascade Public Media is Crosscut, Channel 9, Channel 47 in Yakima, and just general public interest journalism, which publishes daily content on local issues in news and politics, arts and culture, and science and the environment. And I trust we all watch Channel 9, and I get Crosscut every morning. I trust you guys do too. If not, you can subscribe to it, and it doesn't cost anything. Cascade Public Media hosts dozens of local screenings and discussions around PBS programming, that's the public broadcasting system, as well as local issues throughout the Crosscut Festival and News and Brews. Prior to joining Cascade Public Media, Rob was the Chief Operating Executive for Fisher Communications until its sale in 2013. Fisher, of course, ran Channel 4, ABC. He started his career in Columbus, Ohio as an on-air news anchor and host before moving to their local ABC affiliate, and then, of course, to our ABC affiliate. He holds a BA degree in industrial organizational psychology from the Ohio State University. Well, I don't talk about Ohio State because my wife will kill me. She's a Michigan grad. You guys need to know about that. Rob can fill you in on it a little bit later. But he also got an MBA from the Foster School of Business at our University of Washington here in Seattle. Without further ado, I've talked too much. It's time for Rob.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. I think I was here about 10 years ago, shortly after I started this role as CEO of KCTS 9 and Crosscut, and I appreciate so much the opportunity to be back with all of you. When I join you for lunch, I always look up to this stage and I see the four-way test that you see behind me. And the thing that always occurs to me as I read the words on that banner behind me is how much our organizations are aligned. When I think about, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And those are principles that are very near and dear to us at Cascade Public Media, Cascade PBS, and really public media organizations across the United States. It represents the power of community. And one of the most challenging things we face in the media environment today is that in cities across America, everywhere, your public broadcasters are your only locally owned broadcast companies today. They've all consolidated and been condensed into larger multinational organizations from somewhere else generally. So what's interesting about the media world today is that as much as the power of technology has made our lives so much more enriching and valuable in so many ways, we've never felt more connected, and at the same time, we've never felt more divided. And I think that's one of the greatest challenges of our time. So I'll begin a little bit with who we are as Cascade PBS, and we'll talk a little bit about the journey that we are on. So if we could have the slides, please. Can you back up to the beginning? Let's see, maybe I can do that. There we go. Thank you very much. All right, so I'll begin here, which is really the beginning and the ending in many ways. I have a 23-year-old daughter, and she is just getting her life started in Chicago, graduating next week with her master's. I'm very excited for her. She started her first job. One of the things I've been telling her really throughout her childhood is that it's important that we know who we are, what we stand for, and what matters to us, what matters most to us, what contribution we're going to make in the world. And so when we think about our work at Cascade PBS, we think about the same thing. Who are we? What do we do? What difference do we make? And this is where we begin and end, really with our mission statement, which is to inform and inspire our community to make the world a better place. And it really is about making the world a better place. And again, another powerful intersection with all of the work that is done here at Rotary. And it also springs from our value system. So when we look at the values that drive what we do every day, we think about integrity, community, diversity, and innovation. Why those four things? Community is at the heart of what we do because it is the community that we serve and it is the community that supports us. And our integrity around our work is paramount to our ability to support that community and to recognize and appreciate the community that makes it all possible. Diversity. We serve a very wide and different group of people all across the region. I'll talk a little bit about our coverage area and about the different kinds of communities that we touch. And so we need a team that is just as diverse as the populations that we serve throughout our region. And then finally, innovation. We operate in one of the most disintermediated industries in the business world today, media, and therefore we must constantly be at the forefront of innovating the work that we do. So, who do we serve? We, as John mentioned, operate KCTS 9 here in the Western Washington area, KYVE in Central Washington, and we are rebroadcast up through British Columbia and actually through parts of Eastern Canada. We have quite a lot of audience that we sometimes get phone calls and donations and inquiries from folks in Nova Scotia and Saskatchewan and throughout Canada. So there's no limit when it comes to where our signal may be redistributed up in the Canadian marketplace. So this is generally our area, although now with streaming environments and so forth, our signal and our content and our programming is now available in many other places. So going back a little bit to the beginning of our organization, we were founded on December 7th of 1954. So this is our 70th anniversary. And when we started as a licensee of the University of Washington. So you see that from 1954 to 1984, we were situated on the campus of the University of Washington as a licensee, along with our great public radio colleagues, KUOW, here in Seattle. In the early 1980s, we moved to the campus of Seattle Center as a separate 501c3 nonprofit, and that is where this club came to the support of KCTS 9 and helped us build the former facility that we occupied for nearly 40 years at the corner of 5th and Mercer at Seattle Center. So, sidebar about that situation. So, that building was built and owned by the organization, but on leased land from the city of Seattle. And so when that 40-year lease was coming to a close, the city determined that they had other interests for that whole northeast quadrant. Our corner, as well as the parking lot outside Memorial Stadium, and of course a plan to redevelop Memorial Stadium. And so the end result was we needed to find a new place to live. And so in early January of this year, 2024, we relocated to First Hill at 316 Broadway, just a little bit south of Seattle University, close to Swedish and Harborview hospitals. And so now we own both the land and the building that we occupy today. So I would welcome any of you to come up and see our new facility. It took us a couple of years to build out our studio spaces and make that a facility that we could turn around and really open up to the community. One of the things that we wanted to make a hallmark of this new location was really opening the doors to help this facility be something the community could come together and really learn and grow and make a difference together. So we are very excited to be in our new location, and we are once again incredibly appreciative to this club for housing our organization for nearly 40 years on the campus of Seattle Center. So I'm going to pivot for just a moment and talk a little bit about the media landscape. Do you remember the days when there were a couple of newspapers in town, there were a handful of television stations, there were maybe a couple of handfuls of radio stations, and that's where you got your news and your entertainment? Yeah, there wasn't a lot of choice, and yes, you had to be at home in front of the television at that particular moment in time if you wanted to catch that favorite show of yours, but it was a world of media scarcity. There were a limited number of media outlets from which you could choose. I think we all realize that that has changed pretty dramatically. So this is an eye chart. I don't expect you to necessarily see every part and piece of this chart, but this is what the media universe looks like today. So the size of each of those circles represents essentially the economic capacity or market cap of each of those media companies within the media universe today. So instead of having a media world comprised of newspapers and television and radio stations, everybody is a media company today. Every company, every individual is a media company because we hold the power to be so in our very hands on a day-to-day basis. When you look at those two largest circles at the top of your screen, those represent Apple and Microsoft. And so those two circles themselves are dominant players. Interestingly, the circle just below the title, the red one, in the center, that's Disney at $167 billion market cap. So it gives you a sense of the scale of the other players within the media environment. Just to the upper left of that is Netflix. Interestingly, down in the bottom, there are several very large circles in the bottom, and they represent Amazon and Alphabet. And in between there you see a circle that is ByteDance. That's TikTok. TikTok is larger than Disney and Netflix. So you'll see companies listed here that you would have never perhaps imagined fit into the world of media. So, for example, you see all of the sports franchises are listed here because they are media companies. They control content, they control now more and more distribution. And so this is a very congested world that we're now operating in. So when I mentioned earlier that we're operating in one of these incredibly disintermediated spaces, this is what that space looks like. Now, we are public media, we are a nonprofit, so we raise the money that supports the work that we do from the community. And so we don't register on this chart anywhere. We're too small for this chart. In fact, PBS as a national system is too small for this chart. But we are finding our way in a world of media abundance where everyone is a content creator. So let me share a few statistics. So this slide shows you, and it doesn't show up super well on these screens, I apologize for that, but the line that is ascending, you will see, is the percentage of television households that are subscribed to broadband. And you can see how steep that incline is. More and more households are adopting broadband as a way of consuming television content than ever before. The yellow line that is descending over time is cable and satellite. We're seeing more and more people cutting the cord from cable and satellite. It's become very expensive. You get a lot of channels you don't necessarily watch. And so we're seeing that trend continue on into the future. The blue line at the bottom is broadcast-only households. These are households that are only consuming television by broadcast. Now, broadcast is free. I'm amazed how many times I say that to folks and they don't realize that you can actually watch television for free if you have an antenna. In this market, that's a little challenging given the topography here, but there are more and more households that are mixing and matching their television consumption between broadband and over-the-air television. And but this is the state of the world today when you consider how television households are consuming television content. So when we look at video streaming distribution, so you think about that broadband number, where's all the energy? Where's the momentum? It's really YouTube TV. They really are the dominant player in the marketplace, followed by Netflix. And then Hulu, Disney, Max, Prime, et cetera. And then there are about 100 or so companies that make up about 27%. And you'll find the PBS Passport service, which is the streaming opportunity from public television within that quadrant. So the migration and movement is really toward these couple of large streaming platforms. So how are we responding to this? So we have a tower and transmitter site at 18th and Madison, right up here on First Hill. And so we continue to distribute all of our programming and content via our tower and transmitter. And we have a similar tower and transmitter over in the Yakima Valley for our Central Washington distribution. But over the course of the last couple of years, we have developed a streaming platform that now makes live content and on-demand content from PBS and programs that we acquire available on Roku and Apple TV and Fire TV, iOS, Android. You can now watch our content live and on demand on all of these different environments. So we too have migrated into this space of really building more audience where audiences are spending more and more of their time, and importantly, thinking about ways in which we can help that audience move into supporting their public television station. Now, one of the things I'll mention is that with the build out of these technology platforms, we've now taken that basis, that platform, that technology that we've started to do, and we are now working with public television stations all over the country to use that same platform to help our other colleagues in other cities around the United States do the same thing that we're doing. So this is a map of the US, and you see some small red stars. Those are markets where public television entities in those cities are now adopting and distributing their content on our technology platform. So San Diego, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Denver, Nashville. So we have not only become a organization that creates content, distributes content, but we're now also building the platforms that are helping other public media entities around the country distribute content to their communities as well. So I'll talk quickly about where does our content come from and how do we make those decisions. So first of all is PBS. So we're a member of the public broadcasting system. We are a member station. We contribute part of the funds we raise every year goes to PBS to help support the programming that we carry. Things like PBS NewsHour, Nova, Finding Your Roots, Frontline, Masterpiece, some of your favorite shows that we get through PBS. So PBS is a nonprofit as well. It is a member-run organization in large measure. And PBS doesn't actually produce any programs. All the programs you see that come through PBS actually originate at a PBS member station. Largely WGBH in Boston, which you probably see frequently, WETA in Washington, D.C., KQED a little bit down in San Francisco. So there are a handful of stations, WNET in New York, that also produce many of the programs that you see on PBS. Now, the second way in which we bring content forward is through acquisitions. So we acquire content from one of the largest public television distributors called American Public Television. So you see, for example, Rick Steves, who I know has been here many times to speak with this group, right up from Edmonds. His program is actually produced and distributed through American Public Television. So that's not a PBS show, even though it airs almost exclusively on PBS member stations around the country. America's Test Kitchen is a favorite show for some people. BBC World News, Bob Ross, may he rest in peace, is still a very popular figure. And so we buy a lot of programs from APT. We also go out into the international marketplace. There's a gentleman on our staff who flies to France every year and spends time in Paris at a big international programming conference. He meets with studios from all over the world, and we acquire content from those various studios, and we bring that content back to our audiences here. Part of what we've done in some of those acquisitions is we now are sublicensing some of those international series that we're acquiring from around the world to our other public television colleagues around the country. So we're also building a stream of revenue, not only from our technology distribution platform, but also by acquiring and redistributing content from around the globe. Now, the third way in which we bring content forward is through our local productions. So we have 8 series of programming currently in production. Here are 4 of them: Mossbacks Northwest, which is our history show. This year we piloted a food show called The Nosh with Rachel Bell. Nick on the Rocks is a science show that focuses on geology, and Out and Back is one of our outdoor shows. We have an editorial team of about 31 team members that work in both the journalism area as well as original productions. They're producers and editors and so forth. A few of the other series are Human Elements, Origins, Made There, The News Feed. These are all shows that our team produces locally, and we distribute not only through our broadcast channels, but through social media and through our technology platform. So these are also series that we are making available. In fact, WNET in New York City carries Mossbacks Northwest. They like the show, and for some reason it seems to speak well to the people in the New York metro area for some reason to learn about the Pacific Northwest history. And so we're delighted to have programs like that.
Rotary endorsement card.
Origins, the Origins series is a little bit unique in that we put funding out to local filmmakers to come forward with different show ideas and possibilities. It's a little bit of a Shark Tank concept, but for production. Our journalism, as John mentioned, we publish daily to our website, local journalism. We have a daily newsletter, we have a weekly newsletter, and we make a lot of that content available through various podcasts, which we also have 3 different podcasts that we make available. Your Last Meal, which is a companion piece to our video series, The Nosh. Mossback has a podcast, and our Northwest Reports podcast really goes behind the scenes on some of the news content. Events. This weekend is our big Crosscut Festival. So one of the things we like to do as a part of community is bringing people together to really learn and share with one another. So this weekend, just down the street, we will be hosting our, 6th now, Ideas Festival. We have a lot of national partners that are joining us, but Malcolm Gladwell will be part of it, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Heather Cox Richardson, a really terrific lineup of folks. We're sold out for the festival, but if anybody is interested here, come see me afterwards and I'll find a way to get you in the door. I'm sure we can do that. So, but this is a way in which we like to think about our mission really on the ground. So I'll wrap up here with just a quick note about our funding. We're about a $31 million operation. Most of that support comes from our community locally. About 2/3 of our funding comes from individuals.
It's always challenging. I keep trying to get to go.
$1,600 a year. We have a balance sheet of about $94 million of net assets, an endowment around $46 million. So we've really been working on financial discipline with this organization and really strengthening the capacity of this organization to be able to weather that very disintermediated media storm that I shared with you earlier. So I'll wrap up with just a final comment, and it is a quote that I like to share from Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, a beloved public television figure, had this to say about civic duty. He said, "We live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes." So for all of you involved in your community, involved in this community with Rotary, thank you for what you do. Thank you for contributing to making the world a better place.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Rob. As I'm the one bearing the microphone right now, I'm going to go ahead and take my first question from me. What is the public's responsibility to make sure that we are safely engaging with media from your perspective?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first part of that?
What do you think that the public's responsibility is to make sure that we are sharing and consuming media responsibly?
Well, I think one of the first recommendations I would make, and some of you've maybe heard me say this before, is have a varied diet. Just like we need to have a good nutritional diet for our bodies, we need a good nutritional diet for our mind, which means to not atomize too much on any one media outlet. Make sure you're consuming a breadth of content. I think that we have become so tribal within the media environment because of the number of channels and outlets that are available. We can find the choir that we want to listen to, and it's really important that we learn how to embrace, hear, inquire about, be curious around other people's points of views and opinions, because the more we isolate, silo, stay within our lanes, the more divided we become as a nation.
Thank you.
Rob, thanks for your presentation. I have a question about your mission, and that is, I love that you want to make the world a better place, but it surprised me given that you're a media outlet, which is not to say I think media plays a negative role, but how did you all evolve from exactly what you do in media to the mission of making the world a better place?
Sure, good question. So I think that one of the challenges with media is media has not been, when media really started to change and started to consolidate, and this is when the FCC really lifted a lot of rules around cross-ownership. I think media became more of a business than it became a service to the communities that to whom it is licensed. And so we see the importance that public media plays, and this goes for our public radio colleagues and public television colleagues. We're here to serve this community and do good things that make our community stronger and better. And so leaning into the important role that media plays in influencing others, taking that responsibility, recognizing the importance of that, so that the work we do is here for a purpose. It's not simply to make money. We're not in this to make money. We are a nonprofit. So we're here to try to make sure that we are educating our community or bringing forward educational content that helps people think and do positive things with that. So we see an important part of our role as really contributing to a positive community growth. And we think that is an important role for media to play.
Thank you. I've got a question here from Jeff Pyatt.
Is there any opportunity to bring the fairness doctrine back into the news world? And if so, would that be a good idea?
I think it would be a good idea. I wouldn't necessarily have thought that when it dissipated, but yes, I think that what we've seen with the fractionalization of content, distribution outlets, different voices. I mean, there would be those that would argue that it's unnecessary because there is this breadth of available voices out there that were perhaps constrained under a world of media scarcity when you only had a handful of licensees or news outlets. But honestly, I think that my concern for today's world around media content is that audiences can't distinguish between what is journalism and what is opinion. The 24/7 news channels blend what is fact-based, journalistically grounded content with opinion pieces because, in fact, they have reporters on the air and they ask those reporters, well, what do you think is going to happen next? And reporters actually answer that question. And so I do think that it's important that there be a specificity of balance when subjects and matters and issues are discussed. I don't think it'll ever happen. Sorry to say.
Thanks again for being here with us today. Kind of following on to that thought, all sorts of ways to measure diversity. And recently, our friends at NPR were challenged by one of their own internal people who sort of looked at the way they report and their staffing and kind of pulled the curtain back and revealed that the vast majority of their staffing all had a certain orientation politically. What lessons does Cascade Media take away from that example, and any other thoughts you have on the topic?
Yeah, no, it's a great issue, and I think newsrooms are really struggling with the balance of bringing diversity in all of its forms into the thoughtfulness around creating content. For those of you that have been aware of the news at NPR, they have had quite a lot of energy around fairness in the newsroom, bias in the newsroom. NPR's, really, I think, had a really tough go. They're, I think, on their, Matt, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, they've had, their 5th CEO in like 10 years now? I mean, it's a really energized place. And so it is really important that newsrooms do think about the audiences they serve and the diversity of the audiences they serve. And at the same time, they have to think about diversity and diversity of thought, diversity, geographic diversity, diversity of opinion, diversity of veteran status, diversity in all sorts of ways, not just around the ways that our communities are perhaps wrestling with it today. So I think that it is something where newsrooms have to really think critically about where bias comes into news reporting, and it comes in a lot of ways. It's the stories you choose to cover, it's the stories you choose not to cover, it's the voices you feature in those stories, or what role those voices play in your stories. Are they the hero of the story? Are they the victim of the story? Where do these different sources play in? So we have been doing a lot of work to try to really think about sourcing and about the diversity of sourcing and making sure we understand the roles of who we're talking to. One of the tough things that happens with in the reporting, in the making of a story, is a lot of reporters go back to their same sources over and over again, and that doesn't necessarily engender the most widespread view of a particular story. And so we've had to really work internally with our teams in thinking about, who are we going to get answers on stories. So it's a persistent issue, but newsrooms are very energized today in a lot of ways because journalism is under a lot of downward pressure. Business models tough. Journalists are scared about jobs. We're seeing it happen everywhere, and so I understand the frustrations and concerns that emanate from newsrooms.
Thank you so much. We've got one last question coming from Ms. Linda Lowry.
Thank you so much. I really love the diversity that your PBS has. And my question is, we lost Univision. I know we have Telemundo that's here in Seattle, but I wanted to know what your outreach looks like towards the Latina community, because those are your programs. And it is diverse, but I don't really see anything focused on the Latina community. I want to know what that is going to be in the future, what that looks like, and then what that outreach looks like to that community.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We could always be better. There is absolutely no doubt about that. So we are regularly looking at our programming lineup and looking at where we are over-indexing and under-indexing at different audiences that we're serving. I am fortunate at the moment to serve on the board of PBS, and so I am regularly back in Washington talking with PBS and PBS's executive leadership team and working through with their programming people how and where we're sourcing programming for the network as much as locally. One of the initiatives I'll just share with you that is on our radar that we are trying to bring forward is we have additional space in our facility, and one of the things that we are looking to do is to try to bring forward a hub of media from different cultural and ethnic communities from around this region so that we can better be telling or at least creating the environment where those individuals can tell the stories of their communities because there isn't enough of that voice in the work that we do, and we may not always be authentic in being able to tell those stories. And so we are actually trying to figure out how we can create a space where those who are close to those communities, involved in those communities, are able to come forward and tell those stories from that community, and then we as a Cascade PBS can amplify some of that work. So I appreciate your comment, and I wish I had a really stellar answer for that other than we're working on it. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
That was fantastic. Content. He gave us a lot of content. And did you know all of us are media content creators? Watch out, trouble for us. So we have a gift for you in appreciation for your time with us, Rob. That is, we've made a gift in your honor of 600 portions of nutrient-dense produce. And this is in our gift to Harvest Against Hunger, which is an organization we love to support. So we're grateful for that. Plus, you have a gift card there that will allow you to come back here with a friend and have lunch and not be put on the spot with this Q&A. So we look forward to having you back here. Thanks for being with us. We're grateful to our sponsors, Joel Farrell and Bloodworks Northwest, that help make some of our programming possible. We're grateful for their faithfulness. And now we have John Steckler, who is our VP of Programs, to give us some of today's announcements.
Hey, Rob, great job. Thank you. I haven't, remember the last time I was at a Rotary meeting where we had to pop up a couple extra tables because we had so many attendees here today. It's nice to see. Well, my fellow Rotarians, honored guests, Seattle 4 Rotary's newest member and Seattle 4 Rotary's newest honorary member, I have some great announcements for you today. First of all, we talked about this before, but the Elwha Exploration Day, it's coming up. It's around the corner. It's on May 4th. There it is, from 9 to 3. It is $10, but you do get one of the best banana bread breakfasts in the world, so I highly recommend it. You can go use the QR code and access the event, or just go to our website. May 8th. That's 1 week from today. So Wednesday, it's a very important meeting. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Rainier Club. Now, President Nancy's going to give you some more details on it when she comes back up. This is a meeting you need to attend. We're going to be talking about our future, talking about our strategy, talking about who we are. It's your chance to have a voice. Please put that on your calendar. Please be there and be heard. We need your input and also your RSVP, so we make sure and order enough banana bread and stuff, okay? All right, next one, May 15th. This is cool. Thanks to our soon-to-be president, Doug Cito, in a couple of years, he has arranged to have Chief Adrian Diaz come to speak to us. The Seattle Police Chief coming to speak to us. It's been a while since we've heard that. There's a lot of stuff in the news. This is a great club to belong to when you get to come to a meeting, and in the room is the Seattle Chief of Police speaking to you, and you can ask him your pertinent questions. Here's a great opportunity to invite a guest. Invite a guest to that meeting. I think they would find it very informative, and it will, you'll be doing somebody a big favor. Next, our club training day. If you're one of the luckies who get to be on the 24-25 Rotary Club Board of Directors, please plan to attend a Saturday training session at the Puget Sound Plaza. District 5030's board training instructor will be providing the information. Mary will send you out some more details. And finally, Wellspring Family Services, we have another opportunity for service on 5/22, May 22nd. We're going to have a lunchtime event. Yep, there it is. Let's see, it'll take us back to Wellspring. It's going to be another rewarding volunteer opportunity for fellowship and reward Thank you very much. I'm out of here.
At today's volunteer event, someone left some glasses. So at the end of the meeting, come up here. You can discreetly do that. But if we see you stumble, we know they might have been your glasses. So please come snag those. They were serving so effectively, they came flying off. So thank you, John, for your informative announcements. Today is the first day of May, which is also starting the AAPI Heritage Month. Some of you don't have those acronyms in your head, so as a reminder, AAPI stands for Asian American Pacific Islander. It's the umbrella term that encompasses the rich cultural heritage of individuals and groups with roots in Asia and the Pacific Islands. There are numerous events throughout our region that are calendared to honor this month, from arts and cultural events and wellness events. So I encourage you to just check those opportunities in the newspaper, news, or whatever your media source is, and attend some of those. So it's really a very source of pride in our region, and I'm excited to remind you of that. So, and then John mentioned the May 8th event. Our Future Visions Task Force individuals will all be there, and there'll be some great opportunities for them to get feedback from you and present some of their findings and really be able to get a sense from the club what some of the positive ways that we can address some of the moving forward things that happen. 50 years ago, the first strategic plan started with Neil McReynolds, so it's a proof that strategic planning works over a 50-year period, and we want it to keep going for decades and centuries. So please be there. It starts at 5:30. You heard the RSVP encouragement. That will be in our newsletter, so be sure to come. And our member, Annie Ramirez, alerted us to a very interesting event to be held at Town Hall on June 7th. The event is co-sponsored by the Endowment for Equal Justice and the Legal Foundation of Washington. The presentation will be by Matika Wilbur, who is a Native American photographer and educator. She traveled around the U.S. to photograph members of the then 562 federally recognized U.S. tribes. Her presentation will be entitled, "Changing the Way We See Native America, Dismantling Native American Stereotypes." The photographs will be spectacular. The research that she garnered in this travels will be really interesting to hear. It's a community event. There is no charge, and there will actually be a catered event from the first Native-owned food truck and catering company in our region. So it doesn't get much better when you got a food truck providing the wonderful food. So we'll include a link on our club newsletter, and it's a Friday night, June 7th, and we're looking forward to the chance to go. And there will be some cards on the table. I guess there are some cards on the table for those of you getting that. So a lot of information, a lot of neat things going on, and I'm just proud to be able to serve your club this year, and we are adjourned.